Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So before we get into the video, I am using a new microphone, so if you notice a difference in audio, please let me know down below. Today I want to talk about all of the authors that I would like to give a shot in 2022. So some of these authors I have already read from, one or two books, because I'm getting this video a little bit late up, so some of these I have already checked out, but some of these I'm gonna need some recommendations for, or you can let me know your thoughts on the author down below. The first author that I want to try is Eloisa James. I'm actually currently reading something by Eloisa James. I'm reading My American Duchess, and I am liking it so far. I will say her writing style is very different than most of the historical romance authors that I have read from so far, so it's taking me a little bit of an adjustment to get into her books, but I am enjoying it, and I think that her connection and her ability to write connection between characters and emotion is definitely going to propel me into reading her backlist. So next up is Loretta Chase. The Loretta Chase that I have on my TBR is Lord of Scoundrels. I think this is probably her most popular, the one you hear the most about, but it is the third book in a series, so if you have anything else in mind, please let me know. I just saw this cover and I was like, that's absolutely something I want to give a try, and I'm more than willing to try multiple books from Loretta Chase. So then we have Courtney Milan. The book that I have on my TBR for Courtney Milan is The Duchess War. It's the first book in the Brothers Sinster series. Let me know if you have any recommendations for this author, if you have read her previously. I would love to know what your favorites of her backlist are, but I would definitely like to give her a shot. I have several of her already checked out from my library or on my to-read list for my library. So then we have Stacey Reed. Stacey Reed is a historical romance author that I have heard a lot of buzz about within the last, I would say, year. And the one that I have my eye on is My Darling Duke. This is the first book in the Sinful Wallflower series, and she's on the brink of financial ruin. We have A Scarred Hero. So I'm very excited to get to that one. I have heard fantastic things about her, and I believe she is still writing in this series. In particular, I'm excited to get to the third one, which I think is just coming out, or it's already out, The Scoundrel of Her Own. The cover is fantastic, and I've heard amazing things about it. So then we have Lorraine Heath, and I have read one book from Lorraine Heath. I read it several weeks ago. It was Scoundrel of My Heart. This is the first book in the Once Upon a Dukedom series, and I did enjoy it when I read it. I gave it 4 stars. I can tell that Lorraine Heath has very angsty books, which is just right up my alley and something that I look for in historical romances that are often sweet and things like that. I want something that is just full of all of the angst for me to sink my teeth into. So I'm going to continue with the second book in this series, and then if you have any other Lorraine Heath recommendations, let me know. We then have Kerrigan Byrne, and I read one book by her previously. It was All Scott and Bothered, and I did not like it. I think I gave it 2 stars, but I am more than willing to continue. She is another author that I've heard is very angsty and very emotional, so it would be a nice change from what I usually read in historical romance. I think I'll probably pick up the Highlander or whatever, the Highwayman, whatever it's called, her most popular one. I am very excited to find another angsty, emotional historical romance author. And then the last historical romance author that I want to try is Maya Banks. I know that she has several Highlander romances, and I have one of them on my TBR to give a shot. I am excited to read that series. I have heard nothing but fantastic things about her as an author, and I'm excited to give her a shot in 2022. So now we will go on to the contemporary authors that I want to give a shot. First up is Pepper Winters. She is the author that wrote The Tears of Tess, I believe, and she is someone that writes extremely dark romances, and that is right up my alley. I have, again, heard nothing but fantastic things in regards to her dark romances. People that like dark romance seem to like her, even though I haven't heard much buzz of her recently, but I want to give her a shot. We then have the writing duo Krista Victa and Becca Ritchie, I think are their names. They wrote the Addicted to You series and the Holloway Sisters series, and I think there's like another spin-off series, and it is on my 2022 TBR. I have 12 books that I want to read in 2022, and that is one of those books, and I'm excited. I've heard it's very dramatic and over the top. The first one is about two people who have their own separate addictions, and they use each other to like keep their family off their backs. So I'm excited for that duo. People really like them, so I hope I do too. We then have Rina Kent, who is another very popular dark romance author. I see her in regards to bully romances a lot, which if you know anything about me, bully romances are my shit. I love bully romances, so I think I'm really going to enjoy her. Her writing seems very over the top, dramatic, and just fantastic. I have the Deviant King book, that whole series, on my TBR. We then have Ivy Smoke, and this is an author that I'm gonna need some recommendations, some help from you guys for. She is an author, another dark romance author, I believe, that has gotten buzz that I've heard quite a bit about, and I just don't know where to start, so please leave your recommendations down below if you are familiar with this author. We then have H.D. Carlton, and this is an author that myself and my co-host for the Dark Maidens book club are eager to check out. She wrote Hunting Adeline, which now has a sequel, and she wrote several other dark romance books that I want to try out. It seems like her books are very dark, a lot of stalking, a lot of things like that, which is just, again, right up my alley, and I'm very excited to explore her entire backlist. We then have Serena Ackroyd, and she is a mafia romance author that I have heard rave reviews about. I believe it is called the Filthy Fuckers or the 5 Points Mob series. That is something that is on my TBR that I want to get to as soon as possible. I think she's still releasing books in the series, and I'm very excited to get into it and live that hype with everybody else. So this is another one that I am going to need some assistance for. I want to try out Jessica Kane. She is a novella queen, it seems like, and I want to give her stories a shot. So if you have any Jessica Kane recommendations, please leave them down below. It seems like people either really like her stories or really don't like her stories, and I would like to know what the hype is all about, so let me know. And then the last author that I want to try is Tilly Cole. I actually have her Holt motorcycle series on my TBR as well. And I want to read Sick Fucks. I've heard that's like, people consider that like one of the darkest books that they have ever read, like the most wild and unhinged and twisted, and that again just sounds right up my alley, so I would love to give it a shot. Those are all of the authors that I hope to check out in the coming year. Please leave your recommendations down below or your thoughts on any of the authors that I want to read. I would love to know who you want to read in the coming year. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Sitting in silence, we still feel the vibe, and you could not say a word, and I know what you just decided. We'd be right in the same wave, all the